This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Real crunch time, the peak of the peak, comes Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Tisha James might be celebrating a tad too early.
It is probably the most productive day we have had on this issue, maybe in the entirety of our engagement, but certainly in a very long time.
You've got 9 or 10 destroyers that are out in the Gulf right now, which is unheard of.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. A winter storm is a-brewing for the Thanksgiving travel week. The National Weather Service in Buffalo has expanded a winter storm watch to include just about all of western New York. The snow comes in Wednesday night. Meteorologist Philip Pandoffel.
It's going to be a very changeable week in terms of our weather. We'll be looking at pretty mild temperatures right up until Thursday, and then we'll have a strong cold front that's going to move through the region Wednesday afternoon. Temperatures will plummet, the winds will pick up quite a bit, and we will see a transition over to snow. And that includes lake effect snow, and that could last all the way through Thanksgiving and even through Friday as well.
The good news is most of the snow should be on Thanksgiving Day, but the earlier you leave to see family this week, the better. More than half a foot of the white stuff is possible by Friday morning in ski country south of Buffalo, and the winds could gust to 40 miles an hour at times, making travel tricky. More than 80 million of us are traveling for the holiday, and many got an early start. CBS's Chris Van Cleve.
So far, the travel stretch has gone pretty well for the airlines. Cancellations have remained very low, delays in the normal range. We expect passenger traffic to ramp up again on Wednesday ahead of Thanksgiving, and then for the airlines, the real crunch time, the peak of the peak, comes Saturday, Sunday, Monday after Thanksgiving.
The case against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Tish James was tossed today after a federal judge ruled the interim U.S. attorney was unlawfully appointed. CBS's Scott McFarland says it could signal the end of the Comey case.
Because Lindsay Halligan's the only prosecutor on the case, there's no other place to go here other than dismissal. Yes, the Department of Justice can try to bring this case back against Letitia James, perhaps with a different set of prosecutors. With James Comey, it's going to be complicated. They're past the statute of limitations. This may be fatal to his case.
Comey had a few words to say.
I know that Donald Trump will probably come after me again, and my attitude is going to be the same. I'm innocent. I am not afraid, and I believe in an independent federal judiciary.
Tish James also issued a statement saying she's, quote, heartened by the victory. She was facing mortgage fraud charges, but attorney Jonathan Turley says not so fast.
Tisha James might be celebrating a tad too early. The problems here are not with the charges themselves, but essentially with the cop, or in this case, the prosecutor. So the court is not saying that she was innocent of these charges.
The U.S. Justice Department could appeal or could appoint a new U.S. attorney and refile the case entirely against Tish James. Progress was made over the weekend in the Geneva talks on the Ukraine peace plan. President Trump has imposed a Thanksgiving deadline for Ukraine's president to sign a deal. Britain's Keir Starmer.
We are making progress, and that is a good thing. Everybody is absolutely focused on what we need to get out of this, and that is a just and lasting peace. Both of those words matter.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio had a one-on-one with President Trump today on the topic.
Like any final agreement, they'll have to be agreed upon by the presidents, and there are a couple issues that we need to continue to work on. It is probably the most productive day we have had on this issue, maybe in the entirety of our engagement, but certainly in a very long time.
The U.S. has named an alleged drug cartel a foreign terrorist association. More on that from CBS's Charlie D'Agata off the coast of Venezuela.
You've got 9 or 10 destroyers that are out in the Gulf right now, which is unheard of. The Gerald R. Ford, the most advanced aircraft carrier in the world. The American people want to know what's going on. How much of a threat does Venezuela pose to the United States?
There's optimism from the business community. A monthly survey by the National Association for Business Economics predicts next year will feature modest growth and modest inflation. Association President Gregory Dago tells CBS.
Even if not all consumers are driving growth in an equal manner, we still have relatively robust average growth for consumer spending going into 2026.
The Economist Group says tariffs' impact are the greatest downside risk to the U.S. economy next year. And there was a little test run happening in New York City for New Year's Eve today. Organizers unveiled a sparkling new ball at Times Square.
It's covered in 5,280 Waterford crystals, nearly twice the amount of the old one, and with circular crystals for the first time in 3 sizes, each with their own design, which will change every year.
It's hard to believe we're that close to the new year. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, a sit down with Dr. Ralph Kerr of the Teaching and Learning Institute. That interview after weather.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Tonight, starlight giving way to increasing clouds, low temps 30s. Tomorrow, cloudy skies with showers, mainly in the afternoon and evening. Mild though, high temperatures mid-40s to the mid-50s. Wednesday, windy with rain showers. High temperatures 50s to near 60, but temperatures tumbling into the 30s late in the day. And locally heavy lake snow and blowing snow Wednesday night and for Thanksgiving Day.
Thank you, Kevin. Next at 5, Dr. Ralph Kerr talks unschooling and panic buttons in school classrooms. Let's listen in.
There is a fad in education. It's called unschooling. This is a child-led, self-directed form of education that relies on natural curiosity rather than traditional curriculum to guide learning. Is there any merit in this?
Bob, this is almost as ridiculous as before you change a baby's diaper, you really should ask the baby for permission to do that. Unschooling is that same kind of thing in my mind. Parents that are promoting this say that it brings about intrinsic motivation, gives flexibility. But my response to all of that is whatever happened to having at least some minimum standards and curriculum that people have to adhere to. Yeah. And also, children need boundaries, and certainly I don't think they're going to create their own boundaries in education because they're going to end up wanting to do things that they want to do, and that may not have anything to do with what they really need to be learning.
Yeah, so you can't just go outside, look at the butterflies, and call it science class. There has to be a little more accountability. Good thoughts there. I want to talk about security at school. This was a big issue this week in Pennsylvania. Public schools being asked to install panic buttons. These would trigger silent alarms to notify police in emergency situations. Do you think this is warranted that the schools install panic buttons in the classrooms?
Well, it's really an intriguing idea because if there is an issue in a classroom right now, I'm not sure how the teacher actually notifies the administration or anybody else that there's a problem. So I think it really has merit. Now, this is legislation that's pending in Pennsylvania, although some schools, like in Delaware County, already have these buttons. And I think if there's funding for them provided by the state so it doesn't become an unfunded mandate, and then there's appropriate training, I think it may be worth the investment of getting that signal to the first responders, as long as it also goes to the principal's office so that somebody else in the building knows that there's a problem in a particular classroom.
And God forbid a school shooting situation, you could see where something like that might save lives. So anytime you can do that, be a good thing. Unfortunately, Ralph, we had an awful, just horrible tragedy. School bus accident this week in Jamestown. A 4-year-old girl was struck and killed outside an elementary school. You know, we talk about this a lot on this program, but it does bear reminding, not just on the highways when it comes to school bus safety, but in those school zones as well. What are some things we need to keep in mind?
Well, obviously, as you said, that's a tragedy that occurred last week, and we certainly want to extend our condolences to the family and also to the school community. That's a real incident that occurs that brings all kinds of repercussions. I also would want to have people pray for the driver. It appears that the driver is not going to be charged, but still, just put yourself in that seat, if you will, and think about what that does to his mental condition as well. But certainly in terms of safety, when the lights are flashing on the bus, that means stop. If the stop signs are out on the bus, that means stop. Unfortunately, people are impatient. They see the lights flashing, but they think, I can get by before anything happens. It means stop. There's nothing else that can really be said other than just stop. The other thing would be that in the school zone itself, even if there isn't a bus there, usually the speed limit is reduced. Slow down in the school zone. Watch out for children that may take a dash into the street. They're not as careful sometimes as they should be. But certainly it's an area that all of us as drivers need to be careful when we approach a school zone.
I know the police in Jamestown were asked this question: would more crossing guards had made a difference in this particular case? Do you think it's a situation where our schools need to have more crossing guards due to all the kids running around all over the place at the beginning and end of school?
I don't know that that's going to really help. There are a lot of crossing guards as it is, but how many guards can you get? Are you going to put them every 10-foot intervals, or what's that going to do? But certainly education for everybody is important, and then following the rules.
Well, our SUNY Chancellor in New York, John King, was pleased to announce last week that for the third consecutive year, enrollment is up at the 64 campuses that make up the State University of New York. Wonder why that is, Ralph. What's driving this trend in New York?
Well, let me ask you a question, Bob. If you're going to send your son, which I know you have done, but if you were going to send your son to a school where there was no tuition, or you were going to send them to a school where there was tuition that might be $20,000, $25,000, for some people that's a pretty easy decision, and that's really what's happening with SUNY enrollment. It is up 3% this year, but interestingly enough, it's still down 55,000 from where it was 10 years ago. So even with free tuition, I think people see the value of other kinds of education, and certainly I would want to say, don't let the sticker price dissuade you from choosing an institution that you think is going to be best along with your person who's going to be attending school.
That's Dr. Ralph Kerr of the Teaching and Learning Institute. You can subscribe, listen to, and share Issues in Education and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org.
Living with margin is about more than financial stability. It's about generosity. Hi, I'm Rob West with your Faith and Finance Minute. Paul writes in Ephesians 4, "Let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor, doing honest work with his hands, so that he may have something to share with anyone in need." God's design for work and resources isn't just to meet our needs, but to equip us to give. As Paul David Tripp reminds us, God loves a cheerful giver because God is the ultimate cheerful giver. And whenever we live generously, we not only honor His generosity to us, but through our generosity, we point others to Him. Living below our means is an opportunity, not for fear or hoarding, but for giving that reveals His love and grace through us. We can help you learn to manage your money according to biblical principles when you download the free FaithFi app. You'll find it on our website at faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, a competition we all might be able to win. That story after one last look at weather.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. White weather is ahead tonight. Some rain showers are coming later tomorrow and Wednesday ahead of a cold front. Pre-Thanksgiving travelers will find some wet roads the result. Then that front will send our temperatures tumbling and the lake flakes flying in the snowbelts from Wednesday night and particularly for Thanksgiving Day and Friday. For the night tonight, starlight giving way to increasing clouds, low temps 30s. For tomorrow, cloudy skies with showers, mainly in the afternoon and evening, mild though, high temperatures mid-40s to the mid-50s. Wednesday, windy with rain showers, high temperatures 50s to near 60, but temperatures tumbling into the 30s late in the day in western New York and northwest Pennsylvania. Then there'll be areas of locally heavy lake snow and blowing snow Wednesday night and for Thanksgiving Day. Outside of snowbelts for Thanksgiving Day, it's partly sunny, blustery cold with some flurries.
And be careful out there as you're traveling this week for the Thanksgiving Day holiday. Finally, at 5, competition doesn't normally reward the lazy, but Family Life's Mark Webster says one recent contest was definitely an exception.
Yeah, the stakes weren't exactly high. First place won about $422 US, but it wasn't exactly a strenuous competition either. A shopping center in Inner Mongolia held what it called a lying flat competition. Competitors, and we use the term loosely, simply had to lay there on a mattress and stay put. They could order food delivered, roll over, use a cell phone, read a book, and of course snooze, but here's the catch: no bathroom breaks. 240 lovers of leisure entered, many wearing diapers, thankfully, and most bailed within hours. 33 hours later, 3 elite lasers remained. The tiebreaker was to raise their arms and legs in the air. Whoever could hold them up there the longest could lay claim to the title. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
I don't know, that last part sounds kind of hard. And that's the world that we live in for Monday, the 24th of November. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.